Today, we are going to be talking about smartphone gimbals. I already know what you're thinking right now. You're like, this is so boring. Smartphone gimbals, show me really cool tech. Well, this is the Insta360 Flow, and it's powered by AI. Yes, gimbals now have AI built into them. And for example, what does that look like? Well, it looks like tracking. This shot right now, see that little green box around me? That means the camera is currently tracking me using AI to get this shot. And it's so good that even if someone else enters the frame, like my videographer over here, Lucas, it knows me and will continue to track me and not Lucas. So it's smart. So we can actually shoot on our own these days. I've been using this gimbal for the last 2 weeks. I find it fascinating and I want to tell you more about it. The Insta360 Flow. That footage that you just saw is from a commercial that our production company was hired to shoot for this product right here. And what I'm trying to get to is that I've been using this product extensively to film that commercial. So I've learned a lot about it. And I want to talk about one of my favorite features, which we kind of showed at the beginning of this video. That is called Deep Track 3.0. And essentially what this does is once Deep Track is activated, it will keep your subject, whether that's a person or an object, in frame. And it's really easy to use and very easy to activate. Essentially, you just press this button right here to activate it and it will automatically find whatever object or subject that you want. And if it's not the right one that you want, you can literally just draw a box over the thing that you want it to track, and then it will automatically track that subject. Now, the interesting thing is that most other companies that build a product that's similar with this type of software is that it will always track in the center. But if you want, once Deep Track is activated, you can just use this little joystick to switch the frame over a little bit, maybe put the person into the rule of thirds, and it will continue to track the person in the rule of thirds. So you get better composition while using AI. And why I think this is actually so important for content creators or people who use this is that you can focus on where you're walking and you can focus on directing rather than worrying about the composition and walking and all that other stuff. This is useful to get better compositions. So the AI is pretty rock solid in this, especially in the deep tracking mode. So they have something called always on tracking or person re-identification. Essentially what that means, other than the fancy lingo, is that when it's tracking someone, it's always tracking that exact person. So here's a clip of Jesse Driftwood skateboarding. And even as I'm going behind pillars and different objects are going in front of them or other people are in the frame, the AI is constantly tracking Jesse in this shot. Like this, there's so much going on, and that little green box is always around that person. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, a minute later, that person re-enters the frame. It's going to go back to that object or that person. And then watch this. I'm gonna go into frame now too. Which one is it gonna follow? Does it still follow Jesse? Oh, it still follows Jesse. Like that's when I knew I could trust this AI software. And on top of it with this feature, let's say you're zoomed in because it's super easy to zoom. You just scroll this wheel right here and let's say you're tracking with the zoom and then that person leaves the frame. Well, it will also just zoom out to try to find where you are, lock on you, then zoom back into your original composition. And that's if you're filming by yourself. So this is one of those situations where you almost have somebody looking out for you the entire time. It also has something called all angle tracking. So essentially what is happening is that even if you get close to the subject or further away, or let's say you even go nice and high, it continues to know whatever your subject is from all angles. And essentially the last part of Deep Track 3.0 is that you can actually use it in a live mode setting. So let's say you're doing live streaming on Twitch or you're FaceTiming your mom at night or whatever it might be, and you want to have it AI track you. Essentially you go to live mode and then it runs in the background and then you open up whatever thing you want to stream to and the AI will track you the entire time. This part of the AI is really interesting. It's actually one of my favorite parts, especially for beginner content creators or somebody who's just never shot before. So there's this thing called Shot Genie and Scene Detection. The two work 2 and 2 essentially. So when you're shooting, the camera recognizes what scene you're in, and then Shot Genie will actually suggest storyboards or shot ideas for you to film something. So for example, we're in a kitchen right now. It will recognize that you're in a kitchen and it will give you ideas for shots that you can capture in a kitchen. Now, you don't need to follow their suggestions shot by shot, but it's at least a starting point for you. It's inspiration, it's ideas for what you're shooting, because maybe you never thought about getting a top angle or a low angle or directing somebody to do something different. And what I love about that is essentially it's built-in inspiration. It's a built-in teacher while you're shooting. And to activate all this, you can either have scene detection, detect what scene you're shooting, or you can literally ask the AI how to shoot a cooking video or how to shoot a video in a park, and it will give you those shot suggestions. So once you have all your clips, you can open up the editing software, which is called Flash Cuts, and it will automatically edit your video to the beat of the song that you've selected. This might not get you the exact results that you want, but let's say you just want to quickly have an edit that's a little bit more interesting than just a normal story that you want to post to socials very quickly. It will edit all for you. The AI also has LUTs and beauty filters. So we're going to switch over to the camera and we're going to turn on those LUTs. And so you can just kind of play around with different looks and dial in your final look. So while you're shooting, you get something that you're happy with. But we're going to turn that off and we're going to play around with the beauty filters. Now, this is something I personally wouldn't use, but it's nice that they have it. So here's the auto, kind of softened my skin a little bit, but why don't we just put all these things to the max? So we're going to fully soften my skin. We're going to fully brighten my face right there. We're even going to reshape my face. We're going to get my eyes nice and Disney size over here. And we are going to contour the nose. And now I am the cartoon version of Chris Howe. Watch this change once I turn it all off. Boom. I don't know. So there are a bunch of different creative shooting modes to get you certain shots that actually look really, really good, and they all process within the AI and the software. So the first one that I really like that looks super cinematic is widescreen shooting mode, which essentially adds a LUT and then the black bars and just kind of gives you that wide aspect ratio, similar to something that you would see out of a movie. So here are some shots of a friend of mine playing guitar, and I'm genuinely so impressed how this looks. Like, this looks like it was shot on a high-end cinema camera, and this is all shot on my phone. In a pinch, this is absolutely amazing. Then you have 360-degree pano photos. So essentially you just set up the tripod here, and then the AI will automatically take all the photos, stitch them together, and now you have a 360-degree pano. Then you even have special effects like the dolly zoom effect. I mean, look at this. This looks pretty amazing. So as you're walking back, it's zooming in and giving you that really dramatic effect. You can also shoot in super slow-mo, so above 60 frames per second. So you can shoot in 120 frames or 240 frames per second. This is like one of my favorite clips I've ever gotten. I got it on a smartphone. You also have time shift, so you can do hyperlapses. You also have time lapse effects, so that you can even do time lapse for like a day to night, which just gives you more variety in the types of shots that you're capturing to build better stories. One of the features I really like on this gimbal that is just kind of like not even related to shooting at all, well, it's related to this type of shooting. It's called hoop mode. So essentially you set up your gimbal, you put it on hoop mode, it finds the hoop, and then it will literally detect whoever has the ball and keep score on your one-on-one games, which is just kind of like a cool feature that they've included. Now we're going to focus on the design of the actual gimbal itself. Now, at some point in this video, you probably saw a clip of the selfie stick and the articulating head. Now, why this is so important while you're shooting is it allows you to get more creative angles. It allows you to flip this around to be able to shoot super, super low like I am here, or I can get really, really cool high shots to get creative angles like this shot right here where I'm moving from the disco balls to the rollerblader, and I would normally not be able to get shots like that if I didn't have the extendable pull. But I can make this more comfortable with the grip if I just extend it down here. Now we have a built-in tripod, which actually makes this the only smartphone gimbal on the market that has both a tripod and an articulating head and selfie stick all within the same unit. Now, if we get rid of this tripod here, we also have a 1/4-inch thread right on the bottom. So if you want to attach this to a tripod, or if you want to attach a longer selfie stick like Jesse Driftwood did here, which if you want, I'll link his video right there if you want to go and check that out. This allows you to get even more creative shots and jib shots and dolly shots or whatever else you would want to get. This becomes a very great content machine just based on its current design and the ability to get high angles, low angles, and all the other stuff that we've talked about previously. So a big part of shooting is making sure that you don't miss the moment. And this setup is very, very quick to deploy. So essentially when it's all compact, it's basically this size, which fits into your pocket or can fit into a bag really easily. And it has this little attachment for your phone, which is just magnetic, clips like that. And like my phone's not going anywhere. Like those magnets are super, super strong. And all I need to do to instantly start shooting is flip this out, and it auto powers on and auto balances, and then instantly tells you that you should open up the app. You click that, and I can start shooting right away. That was seconds. And once this is all set up, you essentially have your 3-axis gimbal stabilization, which gives you the pan, tilt, and roll movements so that you get nice and stable footage while you're shooting. We're gonna focus in on this part of the gimbal. This is the Smartwheel, and essentially you can control the entire smartphone and what you're shooting without actually having to touch the screen with this part of the gimbal. So essentially you can zoom in on your clip just by rotating the side right there if you need to, and the zoom is super smooth, by the way. It works really, really well. You can switch between vertical and horizontal content just by double tapping the side there. You can press record easily, which is nice. If you rotate your finger along the top, you can switch to the different shooting modes. So you have follow mode, you have pan follow here, you even have FPV mode, so you can get barrel roll types of shots. Now you have a trigger on the front of this over here, so if you tap that once, it's gonna activate deep track. If you double tap it, it will recenter your gimbal. If I triple tap it, it will allow me to take a selfie. And if I bring that right back and hold down on the side here, I can review my last clip, my last photo, all within the Smartwheel. Now I want to quickly touch base on some of the shooting modes. I just mentioned them. The gimbal has all your standard ones, FPV, pan follow, the traditional modes that you would get out of a gimbal, but I want to hone in on 2 specifically. There is auto. Now what auto does is if you're a beginner gimbal operator, whatever you're shooting, the gimbal will adjust. For example, let's say you're kind of moving very quickly, it will adjust the motors to make sure it's keeping up with whatever you're shooting. And the second one, which is actually very useful if you're shooting a lot of sports, is called Active Plus. So you hold this, hold it down, and then it will activate Active Plus. And now you can get these cool whip transitions, or you can have very quickly moving, more dynamic shots. One of the reasons I don't always love shooting with my phone is that when I get into low light situations, the image quality just doesn't look that good. So there are 2 options with this gimbal that you can consider buying. You can get just the gimbal itself, or you can get the creator package, which comes with a spotlight. So in this scene right now, I'm actually being lit by a clip-on light that has 3 brightness levels and 3 color temperature levels to spark my image. So let's take that off right now and let's put it back on. I mean, that looks really good. So having this just increases your overall image quality in lower lighting situations. Now, on top of that, you want to also make sure that you have good quality audio. You don't always want to use the mics that are built into your phone. So they have a hot shoe mount on the back so that you can clip in something like a wireless Go system to get better quality audio. And what I appreciate that Insta360 is thinking about in these situations, they're thinking about the shooting process and how it applies to design. Now, one of the other things is that you can also use this gimbal right here as a battery power bank to charge your phone. Now, when we were on set shooting this commercial, my phone died twice, but the gimbal never died because it has 12 hours of battery. It's like 2,900 milliamps, but you can just use this as a backup to charge your phone in a pinch. So this video was mostly an overview, but I actually do have some thoughts after using this gimbal for the last month. So let's start with price. What are you going to be paying for this? So for the gimbal itself, it's about $159 USD. And for the creator kit where you get the spotlight and a few other accessories, you're looking at $209. That is a great price for how much value this provides. We're moving into a world where smartphones are becoming as important as like mirrorless and DSLR cameras. People have entire careers built off of smartphone. And this is a device, an accessory that helps to elevate your smartphone. You have to remember, what is the camera that you have on you most of the time? It's probably going to be your smartphone. And this allows you to get better shots, more creative shots. And then with the AI, I can trust the AI. This is something that I will use in my content, especially as BTS content is becoming just as important as the main content that you're shooting. So this is my like backup videographer if Lucas isn't available, but it has pro features, it has beginner features. It's meant literally for anyone that's a content creator. And I really, really like this. This is something that I'm going to integrate into my workflow, into my kit moving forward. Thank you, Insta360, for sponsoring this video and trusting us to make that commercial. If you want to learn more about the Insta360 Flow, I will link it below. If you guys want to see the commercial that we created, I will link it right here or in the description. And if you guys could like this video, that will actually make a massive difference. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified for future videos. And I'm going to be giving away a prize to anybody who comments below. I have some extra gear lying around that I want to get rid of, so I'll pick some winners for that. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. Love you. I don't know why, but the selfie stick out. It's